In part 7 of my budget bandsaw series, I built a custom stand for my saw, but it still needed a collection system for the metal shavings. So now in part 8, I'll show how this detachable inclined chip tray was made. The end cap here is also removable so the shavings can fall into a container placed below, like a bucket for instance. I start by measuring the approximate length of the area that I want the tray to occupy. Next I cut some galvanized flashing 20 inches long by 8 inches wide. Thicker material can be used for a more sturdy and better looking tray. I chose this because it's easy and it's what I had on hand. If the design works well, I can always use this one as a pattern to make a thicker walled one later. A couple of marks are made indicating the position of these bolts that will be used for mounting. A third mark is made to show where to notch around the rear leg. I measure 2 inches from this edge and draw a dashed line to help guide me on where to begin bending. This inside corner should have been radiused to help prevent cracking, but the cut was made before I remembered. Time to do some bending. A carpenter square and a pipe came in handy when forming the tray. After looking at it, I realized that more cutting is needed. I make a mark 2 inches from the end and draw a line like so to guide my next cut. Then the same is done on the other side. I'm trying to get rid of that sharp corner and some unnecessary material. These sharp tips get removed before they get me. This rather sharp edge was bent to the inside. These two bolts come out temporarily so I can mark where to drill the holes on the tray. A pencil won't fit, but this pick will. I changed my mind and repositioned the tray. That's why there are extra circles here. I center punch and drill the holes, a 1/4 inch in diameter. Using some sheet metal snips, I shaped these holes into hooks to fit over the two bolts that were shown earlier. I trial fit and recut a couple of times. This is what I ended up with. Looks like it's going to fit, so these two bolts are reinstalled but left loose. Hooks over the bolts easy enough. A short length of rain guttering may also work for the tray. I'm using this gutter cap to block the low end of the tray for when a bucket isn't handy. This piece would have been easy to fabricate from flashing, but I had the gutter cap, so I used it. I make sure it seals enough to stop metal shavings from leaking out. Then I drilled some holes for a locking pin and fashioned a pin from some galvanized wire as shown. With the cap off, the shavings can drop into the scrap bucket below. Kind of floppy. A thicker material would fix that, but I'm okay with it for now. After using the tray for a while, I'm convinced it's going to work. It does a pretty good job actually, for just being flashing. There is some metal dust here behind the saw, but not enough to bother me. The tray comes off and goes back on easy enough for me. Now the sharp edges need to be dealt with. I just used some sandpaper, although the flashing is a little thin for this approach. I can rub the edges with my bare hands now without being scratched or cut, so it's cleaned up and the cap gets painted. The power wire that's mounted under the saw gets chafed when the tray is moved. Repositioning the power wire with zip ties was my solution. I ground some notches in these two pieces for the zip ties to fit into. First I wrap a zip tie around each of these pieces like so. Then a second tie is inserted through the loop formed by the first and is wrapped around the power wire. Seems okay to me. I used some paint to keep the nuts in place, but a lock nut is better. Taking it off is easy, but putting it on without bending it is kind of hard. Thicker metal would have helped with that. If thicker metal is used, I would consider a different mounting technique, like leaving the holes alone and not cutting the hooks. That way I can push the holes over the ends of the bolts instead. Then a wing nut could be used to secure it. If it vibrates and makes noise, rubber grommets might help. I like that it doesn't hurt when I bump into it. The sandpaper removed all of the sharp edges. It's been in use now for about a month, and so far I really like it. The saw doesn't leave a mess for me to clean up on the ground any longer. Now one of these days I need to build a couple of shelves on top of these framing members. I want some place on the saw to put a tape measure and pencil. In part 9 of my budget bandsaw series, I'll tackle that shelf project. Thanks for watching.